Welcome to the Storeroom, the podcast where we unlock the tales hidden within the lives of ordinary people. Join us as we delve into the depths of forgotten memories, dusty relics, and cherished mementos stored away in the corners of our lives. From heartwarming anecdotes to unexpected twists, each episode uncovers the unique narratives that define us all. Get ready to explore the hidden treasures of humanity, one storeroom at a time. Welcome to the Storeroom, where every story has a place on the shelf. Hello everyone, my name's Noah, and I want to welcome you to the Storeroom podcast, where every story has a place on the shelf. So we have some special guests here today, my dear friends, called Sam and Praj. Will you guys introduce yourselves? Yeah.
Hello, it's me, Prajwal Suryabanshi, Praj, and it's my wife.
Yeah, I'm Samjhana. You can call me Sam though, and thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's my pleasure to have you guys on here, and I love how Praj just said it's my wife. There was like a proud moment of that's my wife. And speaking of that, you guys are just a beautiful couple, you know, and we, as a church, as a community, it's such a blessing to have you guys a part of our family. So, we've got some special items here, right? I see some drumsticks, and from what I've heard, there's something inside this box as well. So do you guys want to unpack it and hold on to it and just tell me what it's about?
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
It's his drumsticks, and I've got a imprint of my family picture here.
Wow.
And it's very special to me because it is only one of two family pictures that I have, a complete family picture.
Really? Wow.
So to tell you later, it was impossible at one point of my time when I could not even think that my family would come together and have a picture.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow, that's such a beautiful,
it's very special for me.
Beautiful photo.
Yeah.
Or is it a chiseled out
Yeah.
custom?
Yeah.
It's an artwork, right?
Yeah, there was a picture and it was imprinted here.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And it was a gift from my sisters when we came here.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a token of memory for us as we moved abroad.
Praj, tell us a bit about those drumsticks.
For me, it's a drumstick because the gift that I have got from the God and the mentor, that someone who has been in my life told me when I was nothing, and she was like, you can do it.
Wow.
And it's for the God you have to do. And it was like, and that's the beginning of my journey to God. Yeah.
I love that. I love how it was something that was prophesied and encouraged upon you before you even started, right? And now you're great at it. You've got a great gifting at drumming, and wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you for bringing those items today. And speaking of that, I think these items also represent the story of your life, of how you came to this point, who you are today, and how God's moved in your life. And could you both just tell us a little bit about your story, your background? I know you recently moved here to Australia, just that whole journey. We want to know all about it. So, yeah.
It's gonna be a long story from my side. I'll start with this. When I first started going to church, I was only with my mom. My parents had split up then, so that's the reason I said I could not think that I would have this picture, a complete picture of a family with me. I was at the stage of my life where I was very bitter towards my father because he broke our trust and he got remarried with somebody else. Don't want to say hatred, but I didn't like to be around him. I didn't even want to think about him. But then things happened and I started going to church and I started learning about forgiveness and everything. I used to pray to God, I really want to forgive my father, but I could not do it. It took me years and years of work and prayer with God to actually forgive him. And later, I had to move back to my father because I wanted to study, and he would only sponsor me to study if I would leave my mom and come to him. So there are a lot of things that does not make sense to us as a Christian, because we know love for people, but they don't understand that. And as I went to my father again for studying, my mom was completely against it.
Okay.
So I lost my relationship with my mom, and I was hurt with her because I thought she would understand my situation, but she did not. So I started having resentment towards my mom again. So it was my dad, and I could not have that complete healing of forgiveness for him, and then again mom. So I was like left alone in a sense that I didn't have anybody to look up to. It was very hard to actually go to church for me, because I was completely against Christians. I didn't like Christians in Nepal because the way they preached the gospel was wrong. They would say the gods you are worshipping is Satan and you are going to hell. Those were very harsh words to accept. So I did not like them, and those were Christians that I knew. They were treated differently, in a sense that they would get some compensation being in a church, which I did not like it, because it was more of like converting people for the sake of money or for some benefits. So I was like, you guys are changing people to Christianity because you are getting some money from other countries or stuff like that. So I was completely against that. I trusted in work of my hand a lot. I thought I could make my life right with whatever I can do, or I have that ability to make my life right. So I trusted in myself a lot. I thought I could do everything that I need to do or that I want to do. But I was broken. Right after my parents split it up, they got divorced. I was broken. I thought that was out of my control. I thought I could make things right with what I could do, but I could not. And that's the point I started searching for someone greater than me.
Wow.
I needed someone. If I cannot control this life, there is obviously someone who is in control, who is controlling all of our lives. So I needed someone who I can trust with my life, whom I can actually go and tell everything. This is happening. This is what is happening. Or he or she, at the time, I did not believe that would be God right now. So I thought, whoever the God is, he must be supernaturally powerful, and he needs to be in the control. So I started seeking the right God, because my only concern was I was worshipping God for such a long time. I was Hindu, and I would fast for a few days, and I would go to temples. I would do the things that you would not even imagine. Even at the 2 degrees Celsius or 4 degrees Celsius cold, I would wash myself. I would take shower with cold water and go to temple, come back and go to school, and then after school I would go back to the temple just to worship, make things right with my life. So I was searching for the God who would answer me, when I pray, the God should be answering me. That is what I was seeking. Who has control, who knows what is going on with my life, and who actually hears and has a concern for me. And during that time, I met a boy in a school where I was teaching. I didn't know he was pastor's kid. So when I saw his family, I was completely in awe. They did not have anything of wealth or what I back then would think the riches, but they were happy. They were so much in peace. They would accept everyone in their house, and I was like, they are from completely different planet. They are not from the world that I know as a world. So seeing them loving people, and then having that joy and the peace, I needed that. during our first few conversation, where was that you can, if there is anything that you want, please ask us to pray. We'll pray for you, and it is going to happen. I was like, does that really happen? Because I've been trying that for whole life. I would go to different temples and different gods. I've never felt that. What does that even mean? So just went to test them. So I said, I really want to study. Right now I'm working, and this is not what I really want to do. I want to study. I want to study further. I have some dreams to accomplish later in my life, so I really want to study. And they said, okay, then we'll pray for you. And you will not believe, within 7 days, one of my uncles who were abroad, who had not spoken to me after my parents split it up, he said, you got to study.
Wow.
You have to study. Go back to your father. I'll talk to him. I was very reluctant about that because I still have that resentment to my father. But the pastors back then, they told me, you have to forgive it. You come to Christ. You have to be loving, and you have to be forgiving. And just for the sake of just trying to impress them, back then, I just went to my father and called him, and I really want to study. I'm sorry for whatever happened and however I reacted back then. And to my surprise, he actually took me in. I didn't expect that, but he did, and that's how I continued my bachelor's degree after 3 years of my gap after high school. And that was when I realized their God really listens. And he really answers. And that what got me to go back to the church again one more time, and another week. And I saw those little things happening, not just in my life, but everybody who was in that small church family. And I was very amazed with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm getting goosebumps already just hearing that story. And it's so interesting to hear that you came from a completely different background.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people in church, especially young people, they're grown up and they're born into the church, but it's so refreshing to hear your story of the background of a different religion and a family who wasn't planted in the church, but because of the trials and the struggles you faced and the walls you hit, you came to a point of seeking after this real God. And I love what you said, that this God must be real because he answers his people. And that's so powerful because there is no other God who answers us like our God does, right? Yahweh. And wow, that's beautiful. Yeah. Prajwal, do you want to tell us a bit about your background and story of who you are today and how you came to be who you are?
And my family has been a Christian background from the beginning, and I am a pastor's kid.
Nice.
I'm the youngest one, and when I was in around 8th class, I was in a hostel. It was far from my home, and I was there just taking the classes. As every Sunday we have a service over here. They have a Friday school. It's like all the different kids come together in one church, and they do the everything like worship, even the word of God.
Okay.
And I was there, and I was just testing out the drums. And at that time, the youth leader came, and she was like, "You will be playing tomorrow."
Playing drums?
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know how to play this. I just see how it works. And she was like, "You're gonna play tomorrow. Now it's the practice time. You're gonna do it." I was shocked, and I really don't know how to play. I'm telling you. And she was like, "I don't know anything, but you're gonna play tomorrow." And I was playing the drums the next day, and it felt so bad. And after the service ended, she was telling me, "Next week you are gonna play again." And again next week, same thing happened. Everybody told, no, the tempo is not good. But she was like, it's better than the last week. You're gonna do it again in the coming week. And it goes for like 5 weeks. And after that, one of the brother, the best player, he was telling me like, I'm gonna give you some songs, you just listen it, and what I'm gonna say through my mouth, just try it. So you can play another beats. And I was like, okay, I will try. And at that time I asked God, if this is for me, just give me these skills to play. And I was like practicing a lot without the drums, just open handed, like, and I was like only that doing that. And after a while, all the musicians as well as the youth leader told me like, it's good, it's getting better, you can do it now. Through God you can do it. Just ask him. And it was like for me, when there was no one to support me, but my youth leader was there, was telling me you can do it. And after a while I came back to my home. We have our own church, and I was not playing drums at there, and I was just listening to the word of God, how my father used to preach. And as being a born Christian, it was like, oh, I've been listening this every time. But back in 2012, I was in a relationship with someone else, not with her. And at that time I got broken, my heart got broken, and I was like, now is the end, nothing is there. And at that time, one of the brother from other church, he asked me to come for the Bible study. And I was like, should I? And he told me like, you need to come here, I will make someone to pick you up, you just come here, you have to be here. And I was like, okay. And I went to that 3 months Bible school. At that time I really met God. And at that time I know who the God is. When I was in the Bible school and I was listening the word of God, and it was filling me up. Everybody knows, I think, is John 3:16, yeah? And that the same verse came to me. In the Sunday schools we have been listening it a lot, but I had not seen that verse so deeply. And it was like, my question was with God, why you love me so much that you give me your son? Why me? Why not other? For me you give me your son, why, God? And the answer was, because I love you. And that has taught me a lot at that time. And after that, in the Bible school, I get to meet a lot of good musicians over there. And we had a Christian band. It was named Jesus Generation.
Jesus Generation.
Jesus Generation, yeah. Many of the musicians over that band were pastors' kids. We were just playing guitars and just worshiping, praying in tongues, and it was like the blessed thing that happened over that time. And after that, my journey to God has become quite strong.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's powerful. And I love how the youth leader didn't give up on you.
Yeah.
She just gave you opportunities after opportunities. And I think that's an example of God's love for us, right? That even when we weren't qualified or deserved it, He gave to us freely. And that's what that youth leader was exemplifying for you. And eventually, I guess that gave you the foundation to experience God's love for you in your own struggles, right? A God who loves us and loves you, even though there's no reason, right? That He just loves us because He's loving. Yeah, wow. It's what a beautiful story from both of you guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
the
yeah.
Jesus generation he mentioned, that's where I met him. By
I was
the way.
actually about to ask that. I was actually about to ask, like, so where in the story now did both of you guys collide?
That's very interesting. It was during the very first year of me starting to going to church, because the church that I went had a very beautiful worship sessions. And the guy that actually took me to his home, the pastor's kid, he was also a musician, and he knew few of many Christian bands in Nepal. And he took me to a worship concert that Jesus Generation were holding at that time, and I really loved their worship. And when I got to know that they actually have a midweek service where other churches youth can also come, I started going to that to that session, and that's where I met him.
And you were playing
Yeah,
in
I was
Jesus
playing.
Generation, and you had a big crush on him.
Not really. I was quite shy back then.
Yeah.
I don't even know when we started falling for each other, but I could see that he is really gifted with playing, and it really influences people's heart during worship. And anything that is related to worship influenced me. so that's how we got to know each other and fell for each other.
Wow. So those drumsticks are very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
I love that. And so how did you guys, since meeting each other and getting together and now moving to a brand new country, so what was that like for you? Why Australia? You know, and why was it last year, I think, late last year?
Yeah. So we did apply to other countries and we got rejected. We were very frustrated, but as we reflected back to our rejections, we checked our hearts and we found out that our prayer were actually selfish. We had to shift the intention. We are praying like, God, we really want to go abroad, we really want to earn money, and we really want to have a secure future and everything. And that's when all of the rejections were happening. And then after a lot of rejection from other countries, both of us stayed together and we started praying, God, what is that you really want? You have placed the desire to go abroad in our hearts. So what is that you really want us to do, and where do you want us to go? As we were praying, we said, if you want us to be there in Nepal, you have to give us a way. So we could support our church and we could serve at the same moment. Otherwise, show us a way. That was our prayer, and after that our prayer changed to, God, we really want to go for our people, for our church, so that our church can grow more and your kingdom cause can become more stronger in our church. As we started with that prayer, our personal desire were shifted to God's kingdom cause. We started getting offers from Australia.
Wow.
And it was impossible for us because right now Australian government, they don't take Nepalese student as easily as they used to before. There are a lot of processes that takes a lot of time and money for that. We did not have that. It was all our prayers and our family's prayer. If this is your will, God, you will provide. If this is your will, God, there will be people around us. And that's how one thing led to another and led to another, and here we are in Australia. So it's a miracle for us.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. For many, right, it's coming to a country like Australia. It's sometimes for them, it's just all about doing the right strategy and plan to get into this country. But for you guys, there was so much sensitivity and yearning after God and for His miracle. And it's amazing to hear how God's just opened doors and closed doors, right? Because I love that the rejections weren't in fact a rejection but a redirection. for you to be here today, even to
Yeah.
share your story.
Mm.
So wow, God is amazing, isn't
Yeah,
he?
he is.
Yeah. And I also wanted to ask, right? So you guys have been in Australia for less than half a year?
Oh, it's about 3 months.
3 months, yeah, that's right. So within those 3 months, somehow you found Western Sydney Community Church,
Yeah.
right? And from what I know, you guys were living in Strathfield at that
Yeah.
time. And Strathfield is a completely different suburb, quite far. So how did you end up coming to this church?
So, um, so his mentor, who is a missionary in Nepal, is has a good acquaintance with Pastor Ray, and we got to meet Pastor Ray and Pastor Dong right before we started coming to church. So the first day we came to the church knowing Pastor Ray, and we came back because of the people later.
Wow.
So people here are very accepting. We don't mind the distance and the time and everything. It is just being among the people who actually love God, and the love of God is actually flowing from them. It's different. You really want to come back to get that. You will come back. There's no doubt. So although it's a bit far, we really love the people here. Anybody, I bet even if someone who is not Christian comes here, they will feel the love of God here in church. Because people here are so accepting of each other. We have not felt different, although it has been almost 7 weeks now. We still feel we are still accepted the same way, like we were in the first week. Yeah, it feels more like home than a church.
Wow.
Yeah, we wait for Sundays to come to church
That's
again.
beautiful. Wow. And I love what you said, that the first week you came because of Pastor Ray, because you guys had mutual relationships, and then the second week you came because of the people.
Yeah.
What was it about the people and the community that you saw something in?
We didn't know anybody except Pastor Dong and Pastor Ray, whom we had met before. But they were calling us and they were coming to us, they were hugging us, they were asking things about us like we have known each other for years. And that happens only with families. They were not even sure whether we would come back or not, but they were telling us that next thing that will happen in church is this, so you should be coming to this, so we are having this, so we'd like to have you there. So it was more of like they really wanted us to be here. Although I'm not a person who remembers people's name a lot, but I can remember Tita Gemma and Grace and Tita Rima from the very first day. Yeah. The other thing is the church here is more of like what we have back home. Yeah. Pastor of our church, his father is more like Pastor Ray. He encourages youth to serve the Lord, to be the frontiers than himself. And we could see the worship leaders and the preachers also, they were all youth. So we were like, I think we are back home. We had been missing that ever since we came to Australia, because we had been to 2 other churches, one in Adelaide and one in Auburn. Auburn one is Nepalese fellowship, and the one that we went in Adelaide, it was also a Filipino church. They were good, but we had that different taste of worship and the word. They were good, but didn't feel like it was for me. I didn't feel like it was for me. And then about the Nepali church, they are more like traditional Nepali church. You will feel loved and welcome the first week, and the next week you don't know where you're going to stay or sit, something like that. They will come and say hello, but that's it, and you will not find that genuine eagerness to know about that person, and it's different there. So the first day we came here and we entered the gate, and everybody was like, oh, you're here, you got to be here. So it was like, wow, they're really accepting it. We were not expecting that the next week,
Oh, really?
but
Yeah.
we did feel the same the next week. So yeah.
Wow, that's powerful.
For me, it's the youth, the worship, and the people. And on the first day when we entered, and after the service, I told her, this is the family we have been
Wow.
searching for.
Yeah.
As a church, you want a church to have, this is it.
Yeah.
I told her, and the youth are doing everything like we did in back in our home, and it was like the same thing here, and especially the word of God from the youth, it was like, wow, how can that come?
From those young
Yeah,
hearts, yeah.
from the youth, yeah. And it was like, okay, we have to be here,
Yeah.
because when you love it, you come for it. Even the distance does not matter. And the same things happened to me, and I told her, like, we are in a good hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost as if as soon as you guys started coming to church, you had this instant realization that this is family.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't need steps 1 to 10,
Yeah.
but just this void filled in the heart, you know. And I guess that's what family is about, right? Where even though you went to church in Nepal, that this feeling of family, this sense of belonging, you found it in so far away from Nepal in Australia, right? With a different nationality, a different church. That's just God's miracle once again unfolding in your life, right? Yeah, and that's so powerful. And for those who don't know, I remember I was talking with Sam and Praj, and it was one of the weeks, one Sunday, and they had actually walked all the way from Rooter Hill Station to our church. We could have picked you up, but I think because you guys didn't want to bother anyone, you guys went out of your way, trained it all the way from Strathfield for a few weeks, and on a certain Sunday walked to church. And I was really blessed by that. You know, as much as you said that you were learning a lot from Western Sydney Community Church and the word and the worship, I think it's something that we also can learn from you guys. The way you approach church, the way you see it, where nothing can get in the way of you seeking after the family of God, a gathering of God. And it's truly a blessing to, you know, witness that in your life. And yeah, it's so beautiful. So with the drumstick and this picture of your family, right, that came out of this box. And this box is what we call a jar of clay. And as I've mentioned in the previous episode, this is basically the idea of how the broken pieces of a jar can also be mended back together into something more beautiful and restored, right? And so I want to know about what your jar looks like. You know, there might be certain cracks, certain broken pieces. But what did you have to go through? What did God do in your life for your jar to be mended in the way it is today?
To put it shortly, from being from having my parents divorced and not being able to forgive my parents, to having a picture right now. This picture is from our wedding. So to having a picture with both of my parents together with my sibling, it took me a lot of years of praying with God, and just surrendering everything that I felt when I didn't have my parents with me, and whatever I thought they did to me or I thought they did wrong, I had to let that go with God. And I didn't know when that happened. It was not a radical thing. It was not like I stayed in a prayer with God one night and I promised him that I will forgive my father and my mother, and the next day I went and talked to him. It was not like that. It took me years and years, and right now I love my parents so much that I go on my knees and pray that they also receive God. So it all had to do with my with God. No, I could not do that on my own. I'm a kind of person, when I didn't know Christ, if I didn't like anyone, or if I didn't could not stand a person, I will leave that person for the rest of my life. I will not even notice that person. But right now, it's whoever it may be. If that person does not know God, I'll kneel down for them. So that heart of forgiveness and the love is how I have been here. You will see a lot of cracks in my life, in my stories, but it will be all just covered by love of God for right now.
Amen. Amen.
So yeah.
Wow, that's so
story.
beautiful. And what you said is so true. A heart that was bitter, resentful, and had gone through a lot of hurt and brokenness, to God transforming that into a tender heart that can't help but love people and pray for those who don't know Him yet. And that's a miracle unfolding again. Yeah, wow. Prajwal?
For me, when I was playing drums in a camp, one of the camp, and I was praying, God give me new music. When I'm playing, just give me a new music. And He was like, in the last day of the camp, He gave me one of the sound in my ear, and I could not play it. And after the camp has finished, and I was sitting down, and I was asking God, you gave me the sound, but I could not play. Why, God? And after a week, I got the answer. He told me that when I give you the best. Do you have the heart to receive that? Then what should be doing? And he was like, start from the basic, start from the step one. And I was like, okay. And from that day, I just sat down and I was like praying and just practicing. And after a while, I asked God, I really want that sound again. I really want to play so that when I play it, it's not through me, it's through you. It has to be through you, God. Because with my effort, with my sense, with my talent, I can't do anything if you are not there, God. And every time for myself, I always tell, I can't do anything without you, God. I need you. Even when we are walking, when I go to the work, that I'm having these things, what to do, God? I have been going through this. Just tell me. And I was like that, and I was like talking every day, and that has made me who I am today.
Wow.
Everything we do, I told her and myself, if this is from God, it will happen. If this is His will, this is His will. That's what I tell. It has to be through God. If we are doing by ourselves, it will not happen.
Wow, I love how your story is woven with music and the gift that God gave you, right? From starting out from a young person who knew nothing about it, but was just given these drumsticks and a gift, and people placed in your life to give you the unfailing grace to try again and again, and to now God using that, the very sounds that you use as your gift, to speak to you and to create a dialogue with you. And that's your story, right? And your story is such a beautiful thing to hear, and I truly believe that our church community will be blessed by you guys. And I mean, I'd love to see you guys on the worship team one day as well. And for those who are listening and watching, this is what the Storeroom podcast is about, where every single story, even from Nepal, from different parts of the country, different contexts of people coming together and experiencing God's goodness, His provision, His miracles, and His unfailing love. And that is our community, right? So thank you so much for being a part of it, and it was such a blessing hearing your stories.
Yeah, thank you for having us and giving us this opportunity to share our stories.
Our pleasure. Thank you.